If I was building the next $1 million app and I wanted to speed it up, I could just hire 10 developers, right? And it would go 10 times faster. That's because 10 developers means 10 times the code, right? Well, unfortunately not. And that's exactly what the famous book, The Mythical Man Hour, focuses on. It turns out the more developers you add to the team, the less productive an individual developer gets. Also, productivity isn't measured by lines of code, but how impactful a developer can be with their limited amount of time. But while a team of 10 can't make you 10 times productive, sometimes a single one developer can. And this is where the term 10x developer came from. But what if there was a kind of developer that can not just be 10 times, but 1,000 times more productive? In fact, in this video, we're going to talk about 4 different 1000x developers, each of whom made billions of dollars and impacted the whole world with just their keyboard. Now, you might be thinking I'm going to say, oh, it's Mark Zuckerberg, it's Bill Gates. And sure, they've made billions and they've obviously changed the world with Facebook and Microsoft. But you might say that their creations are just part of the natural flow of technological advancement. If it wasn't Microsoft, someone else would have created the, most popular operating system out there. And Facebook was already based on a very well fleshed out social media model, where Zuckerberg was just able to execute in a business perspective and dominate the market. With 1000x developers though, I'm talking more about creative genius. These creations being Doom, Bitcoin, Linux, and Minecraft. So you can probably already tell who these developers are gonna be. Anyway, these are things we might have never had without these developers, yet their creation absolutely changed our lives for the better. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about these 1000x developers, what makes them legends in the tech world, like on the level of Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, and also how you can learn from their success and possibly apply it to your own life. If you're new here, I'm Aaron Jack, SF software developer turned freelance developer and founder of the Freemote Bootcamp. Let's start off with number 1, John Carmack, the creator of Doom. We gotta go back to 1992 when the most popular video games were platformers and side-scrollers. This is when John Carmack pioneered his very own 3D engine and released Wolfenstein 3D. And with this release, the gaming industry was forever changed. In Wolfenstein 3D, you could now move in all 4 directions, not just left to right, and it established the fast-paced action of first-person shooters that we all know today. This might sound trivial in 2021, but back then, this was an insanely big deal. Wolfenstein 3D is actually considered the grandfather of all 3D shooters, and it paved the way for Carmack to create his greatest invention, Doom. And Doom was really the turning point for gaming. It inspired developers to switch over to 3D, a model which evolved into being the most popular game design today, the first-person shooter. Doom also pioneered online distribution. It popularized the free trial strategy to sell copies, and even had network multiplayer. Even though Carmack didn't create Doom alone, his engineering talent combined with game engine experimentation. And of course, you couldn't revolutionize the game engine industry without having an insane amount of passion for tech. This passion led to him being worth $50 million today, which honestly I thought would be higher. Anyway, Carmack knew exactly what he wanted to do and got it done by starting his company ID Software, which is why he's now known as the godfather of gaming. Developer number 2 is Satoshi Nakamoto, creator of Bitcoin. No one really knows who the person or people behind Satoshi Nakamoto is, or whether they're even Japanese. It is known though that their work in developing Bitcoin is making waves through both the tech and even the global finance industries. Of course you know about Bitcoin, but did you know that the idea of cryptocurrency was around before Bitcoin? In fact, the idea that bytes could have some kind of value goes all the way back to 1992 again. The idea was created by cryptographers, and just a few years later, the first cryptocurrency prototypes were created, B-Money and BitGold, which don't exactly have the same ring to them as Bitcoin. Then it wasn't until 2008 that Satoshi Nakamoto released the famous paper, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This kickstarted Bitcoin and outlined what distinguished it from its predecessors. It outlined that in typical transactions, there's a buyer and a seller, and to reduce the amount of fraud, there's a middleman or intermediary institution between every transaction. Unfortunately though, this system's even more prone to fraud because the middleman can just be used to reverse payments. This fraud-proof system and fact that Bitcoin was outside of government's ability to manipulate has allowed cryptocurrency to become a valid challenger to traditional currencies. When Nakamoto released the source code and software in 2009, since then Bitcoin's ballooned from basically nothing and being limited to use by hobbyists, all the way to international recognition where in February 2021, Bitcoin's value surpassed $50,000 for the first time. As for Nakamoto, well, he disappeared from everywhere in 2010. He owns over 1 million Bitcoins, which are worth over $5 billion. Well, quite obviously have made a huge impact, but not only that, they've inspired a new generation of developers, such as Vitalik Buterin, who created Ethereum, all the hype around blockchain technology, which will have ripples far into the future in the increasingly digitized world. 1000x developer number 3, Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux. Back in the 90s, Linus Torvalds bought a computer when he was in college, but he didn't like the operating system, so he built his own. Linux actually is not an operating system though. It's a family of distributions that all come out of the Linux kernel, which is like the core of the operating system. Anyway, it was Torvalds who first created this Linux kernel and reduced it as open source for the tech community to play with and manipulate. While with Windows, you just have 7, 8, 9, and 10. With Linux, you get Ubuntu, Kali, Arch, and hundreds of other Linux distributions that programmers across the world can modify to fit their specific needs and run on any different type of machine. And all of these have Torvalds' Linux kernel at the core. Back then, Torvalds was just a hobbyist coding a little toy project, and there's no way he could have possibly known that the Linux kernel would be used in so much tech that we use today. Android, for example, is a modified Linux kernel, and it's in literally billions of phones worldwide. All 500 supercomputers in the world run on Linux. NASA relies heavily on Linux, and the majority of servers in the world are running some distribution of Linux. Even smartwatches, refrigerators, Internet of Things, everything almost is based on some version of the Linux kernel. Now, the funny part is when you ask Linus Torvalds what he thinks of all this, he doesn't even care.
So really both Linux and Git kind of arose almost as an unintended consequence of your desire not to have to work with too many people.
Absolutely, yes. Now.
He said in ultimate programmer fashion when creating this, he was just making something that he needed. And also just because he loves programming. Besides pretty much being a genius, he has a lot of idiosyncrasies, and it's all this plus his stubborn focus that makes him a different kind of developer. However, these idiosyncrasies have also caused him a lot of problems with people. He cites a general dislike for people and a monastic focus on programming to be the cause of what he calls an inability to communicate with people. In fact, he's been known to send quite abusive messages to Linux developers who did not meet his expectations. And this is when they wrote code that, in his opinion, was in bad taste.
To me, the sign of people I really want to work with is that they have good taste.
Some people have also called him a misogynist, but programmers having trouble with the ladies, that's nothing new. Though he's apologized for his behavior, he's also defended it in the past, saying that it's critical for the success of Linux. Here's a pretty interesting quote to give you an idea of his mindset. The same way I'm not going to start wearing ties, I'm also not going to buy into the fake politeness. The lying, the office politics, the backstabbing, the passive aggressiveness, and the buzzwords. Because that is what acting professionally results in, people resort to all kinds of really nasty things because they're forced to act outside of their urges in unnatural ways. Now, when you hear it put this way, it's definitely an interesting perspective that it's hard not to agree with in some way. Besides all this, Torvalds has said himself that he's not a visionary, that he's instead an engineer that fixes what's in front of him. And by doing just that, Torvalds fixed the road for the digital age. We've got one more, a controversial one. Marcus Peterson, aka Notch, who created Minecraft. Minecraft, one of, if not the most popular game of all time, was created by Marcus Peterson, also known as Notch. Released in 2019, Minecraft grossed over $700 million.
How much money do you have?
I would say I'm being humble, but I actually don't know.
And Notch basically became a god among indie game developers. Now, I won't spend time explaining what makes Minecraft successful. If you haven't been living under a rock, you know a thing or two about it, and mainly that it's the most versatile sandbox game of all time that people of all ages can basically enjoy. Safe to say it's hard to ever anticipate this degree of success. And Notch kind of became the face of Minecraft, but he wasn't really equipped to deal with all the public attention that came with it. He said that he just loves games and he never really had the end intention of one of his games becoming a hit. But unfortunately for him, Minecraft became a lot more than just a popular game. Kind of reminds me of the creator of Flappy Bird 2, the mobile game, who created Flappy Bird and then actually took it down because he literally didn't want the success. Anyway, for a really long time, Notch was the only person who worked on Minecraft, until 2014 that is. It was then he sold Minecraft to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. Now in his blog he wrote, "I don't want to be a symbol responsible for something huge that I don't understand, that I don't want to work on anymore, that keeps coming back to me. I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not a CEO. I'm a nerdy computer programmer who likes to have opinions on Twitter. And he really does like to have some strong opinions on Twitter, which ended up getting him into a bit of hot water. Specifically, after leaving the company he helped found, Mojang, he started sending tweets considered by many as racist, homophobic, and sexist, which actually led to him getting canceled, and Microsoft removed all the references to him within the game of Minecraft. He also didn't get any recognition at Minecraft's 10-year anniversary. Can you imagine that? And Microsoft was forced to say that his comments did not reflect the views of Microsoft or Mojang. So in the end, unlike Carmack, Notch was not really focused on building a company, but he was kind of making Minecraft for fun in the traditional basement programmer scenario, mainly because he had fun doing so and loved making games. As of today though, he's cashed out with more money than pretty much anyone would know what to do with, and Minecraft's not going to be dying anytime soon. So what exactly can we learn from these 1000x developers? Well, if 10x developers can create really good products or help companies get to that next level, then 1000x developers are companies of one on their own. Not only that, but the top ones have created products and movements with massive effects across the whole world. Now, the common denominator is not their business vision, but it's a passion for programming and engineering. This allows them to be on the cutting edge of their field and focus on the craft, rather than trying to come up with something that's going to be a business success. With all that said, I hope you got inspired by these guys. I certainly do. And it kind of makes me want to start my next big project because that just might be the one. With all that said, I'm Aaron Jack, and I'll catch you guys soon.